Welcome to the Relationship and Wellness Podcast with Nicola. Nicola runs transformational breakthrough programs for individuals and couples and has several award-winning audio programs. She also runs a holistic life therapist certification program where you can get paid to guide clients to profound change and work from the comfort of your own home. For details, visit www.nicolabeer.com today. Please note, places are limited and are available on first-come, first-served basis.
Hi and welcome, so happy you're here. In this episode I'm talking about how to help yourself deal with the aftermath of an affair. This is both for the person that's been cheated on and the person who has cheated. I've explored so many reasons in the previous podcast about why cheating hurts so much. And now I'm going to share what you can do to help yourself deal with the heartache and the pain that comes with infidelity, the guilt, the shame, the anger, the doubt, all of those mixed emotions that come flooding in when this happens. Something I always suggest first is to take some time to process what has happened before even thinking about what you're going to do next. Many people think that as soon as they find out their partner has cheated, they must make an immediate decision to stay in the relationship or to leave the relationship. However, decisions like this should never be made when emotions are high, when they're heightened. There is no rush. When two people love each other, there is definitely the chance to work on your relationship. So take some time out to first of all reflect, assess, and feel your emotions. Talk to trusted friends or family members as an outlet to let go of the emotion that you're feeling. And remember to focus on looking after yourself, taking care of your nutrition, your sleep, making sure you're having plenty of water and some form of exercise to keep your body running healthily. Grief is a normal part of dealing with an affair. Grieving what you thought you had, a loyal, trusting, loving relationship. That can be shattered. So taking time to grieve will help you to move forward with a clean slate. As often when the emotions are left unresolved, they fester and snowball into sickness and disease. Many people go through the different stages of grief. Denial, anger, negotiating with God or with oneself, low moods, and then acceptance. Many men and women that do my 3-day breakthrough program come to clear their critical self-talk, the pain, release the anger, the rage, the resentment, because they have struggled for many years with their affair that's happened in their relationship to get to the acceptance in a peaceful way. Acceptance is the goal once you've gone through this whole cycle of emotion, but it doesn't need to take years. One lady that booked my breakthrough process recently had been suffering for 8 years. She caught her husband messaging 20-year-old girls, and she kept saying to herself that I'll never compete with their bodies. I'll never be as good looking as them. I hate myself. I feel bad about myself. She said she felt broken. Self-loathing, anger and fear of the same thing happening can cause people to replay the events again and again. If you think about them cheating every day or every week and it's been longer than 6 months, I recommend that you get some help to get you to the stage of acceptance so you can move forward. Once you've taken some time out to process everything, it's time to make the decision on whether you want to stay in the relationship and make it work or if it's best for you to leave. If you decide to work on your relationship, you will both need to be willing to have difficult discussions about what has happened, why it's happened, and the steps to repair it. Avoiding blaming one another is key, as punishing and blaming just leads to more distance. After understanding each other's needs, you both need to make that committed decision. Are you willing to put effort and energy into the relationship? To give each other love, attention, care and positive energy to rebuild the connection and trust. Many couples that get my affair recovery audio program are surprised that it doesn't focus a lot on the actual affair. It's more focused on the future, about realigning your goals, your dreams, improving your communication, releasing the past, and actions to bring you closer. Once you understand why and how the cheating has happened, trust is the key. Rebuilding trust is often one of the most misunderstood concepts. Those that have cheated and have an affair believe that after a short time, their partner should just now trust them and get over it and give them a chance based on their words and promises. If you have cheated on your partner, I'm going to share with you now some things that you can do to rebuild the trust, because it's very unlikely that they're going to be able to trust you easily, because the chances are you've already hid so many things, lied, and kept your behaviour a secret. So words are often meaningless. In order to rebuild trust in the relationship, actions need to follow words. The betrayed spouse needs to see 1. You can truly empathise with their pain and are deeply sorry for the hurt caused. 2. That you are willing to talk about the affair and be open. 3. That you are into them, you love them, you want them, and you're ready to give them your attention. 4. That even though you might not like it, you're willing to share your passwords, access to things, for a period of time until the trust rebuilds. Usually up to 6 months. 5. That you're consistent in your loving actions. 6. You stick to your word. If you say you will do something, you will do it. If you say you'll be home at a certain time, you'll be home at that time. You're a man or woman of your word. 7. That you are patient with their healing journey. 8. That you answer their questions as openly and as quickly as possible. If you can't answer, 9, they're deep questions as to why you did it, your motivators, your feelings, your thought processes. Then you could also help them by getting help, by working with a coach to get to the root of your behaviour. It's very hard for someone to trust you if they don't understand why you've done it and what you're going to do in the future to make sure that it doesn't happen again. And that's why when the couples individually do my breakthrough program, I help them to uncover why they've done the things that they've done, why they have lied, why they have cheated, what's driven their behaviour, so that they can understand their patterns and triggers and then create different ways of dealing with those triggers. So that's what the cheating spouse needs to do. Now, the person that's been cheated on, if you want the relationship to work, there are some things that you need to do for the trust and happiness and relationship to be repaired. You need to, 1, be willing to begin to forgive. Both in the couple need to remember that forgiveness is not a quick decision, and it's not just said and done in a few seconds. Forgiveness is a process. The betrayed partner needs to be willing to forgive, willing to begin the forgiveness process, even if they can't get to the forgiveness straight away. That's all that's needed to start the journey. 2 is they need to see the person they've hurt getting better, the betrayed person getting better. Of course, the first 1 to 6 months, patience, love and care is essential. After that, they need to see some progress. Otherwise, the cheater can just lose hope. They can feel like their partner's never going to get over it. The anger, the hurt is too much. The questions is too much. The lack of trust is too much, that they can't carry on. So it's very important to get professional help to release and move forward if you're feeling stuck with this, or ask your partner to get help if they're stuck. 3 is they want to see the person who has been hurt wanting to move forward, wanting to get over it. Because sometimes if they can see the person that they've hurt suffering so much that they're punishing themselves and that they're hurting themselves, it can be too much to watch, too much to carry, and it can destroy their attraction to the person. And then both may give up in the relationship. I can really relate to this. It's so awful to witness a person punish themselves after being cheated on. I still remember my mum in so much pain after my dad cheated several times on her. My dad worked as a lorry driver and a mechanic for a big construction company, so he used to work away a few nights a week. During this time, he had multiple affairs during their marriage, which my mum shared with me. The first one being when my mum was pregnant with me. It got very bad when I was 12. One day, my mum got sent letters from a lady in Wales. We lived on the south coast of the UK at the time, and they were love letters from my dad to this other woman, and a summary of their relationship from this lady. It hit my mum like a ton of bricks. She wasn't in a good place at the time before this, and it just took her over the edge. She would talk to herself and tell herself to shut up, say out loud that she wanted to die, and would say horrible things like our dad didn't love us or care about us. Of course, now with hindsight, it was clear she was suffering a mental breakdown. At the time, it was like walking on eggshells, as she was either really passive and sad and laid in bed all day, or super aggressive, shouting, criticising all the time. You never knew what you would get from one day to the next. Some days she'd be shouting at you, and others she just slept all day and didn't get out of bed, other than to check that we'd left for school and had our breakfast. My dad begged her to go to the doctors for so many years, but she refused. She was so scared that me and my 4 other siblings would be taken away from her that she wouldn't talk to anyone, especially not a doctor. So she struggled alone with her pain. I speak from my heart when I say this. Please do not punish yourself. You've already been through enough, and if you're struggling to see the good in yourself, get some support to help you to do so, and surround yourself with loving, supportive friends, family, to make you feel good, because it's our friends and family that can really help to lift us. And then 4, there will come a point when you need to trust and let go of the checking and the tracking and not trusting your partner. Constantly checking up on them is unhealthy for you and the relationship. Christina and Fabian came to me for couples counselling 3 years after Fabian had invited a massage lady over to their house, who he got from quite an explicit massage website. He said nothing happened, that he felt uncomfortable, and about after 20 minutes of the massage, he asked the lady to leave. Christina was distraught and spent ages on the website comparing herself to the women and feeling disgusted by her husband. She looked completely different to these women. They chucked out the sofa and then moved home, and her husband was doing everything he could to show his love to her and his commitment to their family. 3 years later, Christina had not managed to move on one bit. She still insisted that everywhere he went, he took photos. This became how their relationship worked. He took photos all day, every day, arriving to work, going to a meeting, mall, meeting friends, showing the location, and his friends when he did. She received anywhere from 8 to 50 photos a day from him. This had to stop, I told them, as both were reminded repeatedly several times a day that there was no trust in their relationship, and that doing this, neither of them were getting over the relationship. The incident was at the forefront of their minds over 8 to 50 times a day. Very toxic for the mind. Rather than a couples program together, it was clear that both needed the individual breakthrough process. Christina had a lot of unresolved grief from losing her mum as a teenager, and the grief of the affair had added to her grief. In the breakthrough process, I helped her let go of it all. She decided in our session that she would go out and get a special box and write on a piece of paper to her husband, "I forgive you." She knew this would free her, as she loved him so much and wanted him to be happy. She couldn't write or say these words to him before the breakthrough process because she felt stuck in fear that if she forgave him, he might do it again, that if she let him know that he was safe in the relationship, that he could hurt her. She was so fearful that he would cheat again and she wouldn't be able to cope. When we released her fears and anxiety, she knew that for herself, her children, and him, that she needed to let it go and start afresh. Working on the relationship. For most men and women who have been cheated on, before they can move on to rebuilding the relationship, they need the answers. It's not an easy conversation for either to have. The person asking will get hurt more by the answers often at first, and the person answering feels shame, guilt, embarrassment and fear. Yet if the answers are not given, the person cheated on can have trouble trusting, trouble moving on, and their health can be impacted as they struggle to put together all the pieces, as I explained in the other podcast, why cheating can hurt so much. Most often people will want to know what is the driving force behind the affair. If a person doesn't know, then it can cause more unease, as how can it be prevented in the future if no reason or cause is looked at? The causes can surprise some people, especially if the person cheated on has been blaming themselves for the affair and find out that it has nothing to do with them at all. Some people blame the fact that they have gained weight, that they are less sexual, or have been too busy with other things, when the cheating could be an addiction, low self-esteem, loneliness, midlife crisis, feelings of inadequacy, boredom, needing to escape, and in some cases, men cheat to test their sexual performance. I recommend, if you are stuck not knowing how or why it happened, to get some support from an expert. I also recommend that you work on any low confidence issues to love yourself fully. Many people who book the Affair Recovery program with me do so because they want a neutral space to be open and honest without being misunderstood and having the conversation about what has happened and why it's happened turn into an argument. The gifts of infidelity, the benefits of infidelity, is that it can bring a couple closer together. It can show where the relationship needs attention and where it's been neglected. In the couples work I do, very simple things come up that couples miss, like humour and laughter, interesting and engaging conversation, not about work, children or bills. Or couples share that yes, they don't have quality time alone together, or they rarely go to bed at the same time. Small adjustments can make a big difference. Taking action to rebuild your connection with another is so important, as well as deciding, yes, we want to move forward together. Deciding to close that chapter and start a new chapter. I have the steps outlined in my relationship masterclass. It's a 43-minute video on YouTube, which I'll put the link along with this episode. It really will help you, whether you work with me or not, or whether you work with another lady or man. It will help you to see the steps. Part of rebuilding trust and connection is communicating your needs with another in a safe environment. Of course, how we feel loved is totally different. Those who work with me or get my audio program learn the 27 needs and pick their top 8. Think about what makes you feel loved. Is it your partner supporting you in the house more, spending quality time together, having date nights, having each other's backs, small gifts, affectionate touch, or more energy to put into the sex? Some couples after the affair feel they want each other more sexually and need make-up sex. Others feel that they can't go there. They need much more space and time to heal before they can be naked in front of their partner and let them in. It's important not to rush or add pressure, to focus on the romance, communication, closeness and trust first for that to follow. If you've been cheated on, please don't blame yourself. I know it's easy for me to say this, and you might think, but Nicola, if I pay more attention, if I had been more up for sex, if I had been fill in the blank. However, the truth is that cheating is not down to you. I've explored the reasons why people cheat in other podcasts, and it's truly their decision. They could have come to you at any point and said, I'm not happy, we need to work on this, we need to change these things, without cheating. There is always a choice, so please don't blame yourself. Be loving and kind to yourself. However, that doesn't mean ignoring what your partner is saying to you. Hear what they need. take responsibility if there are things that you haven't been doing in the relationship and work through them together. In summary, I want to share that we've all heard the saying, the grass is always greener on the other side, which highlights how things sometimes can look so much better, more fun, more loving on the other side. However, I like this way of looking at it. The grass is always greener where you water it. This encourages people to pay more attention to what they have and building on that so they can appreciate the fruits of their labour and not look at what they don't have. So if you were to water your garden right now, water that grass, how would you treat yourself? How would you look after yourself? What would you give to yourself? If you were to treat and look after your loved one and your relationship, what would you do right now, today? What would you do next week? How would you continue to nurture yourself and your relationship? Energy flows and grows where your attention goes. So that's really the tips for today on affair recovery. If you have any questions, if you'd like to learn more about working with me one-to-one, you can go to my website, nicolabeer.com. You can email me, nb@nicolabeer.com. And if you are on Facebook and would like to connect more closely, there are 2 Facebook groups that I'm in actively. One is the relationship one is the holistic life therapy school one, which is about healing and changing your life from the inside out, living great, fulfilling life. And lastly, if you have enjoyed the show, I'd be so grateful for a rating or review. This really helps the show to stay more visible and hopefully can help more people. From my heart to yours, wishing you an awesome day or evening ahead wherever you are. Take care. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Relationship and Wellness Podcast with Nicola Beer. If you are interested in finding out more about becoming a holistic life therapist, would like to get Nicola's mentorship directly, or check out the award-winning audio programs, visit www.nicolabeer.com today. Subject to availability, a waitlist may apply.